The offseason once again revolves around one man, Aaron Rodgers. For the third straight year, Rodgers' decision looms over the league like a slow-moving storm. Retirement or one more run? Stability or another twist? According to Matthew Berry of NBC Sports, the current expectation coming out of the 2026 NFL Combine is that Rodgers is leaning towards returning for his 22nd season. And if he does, that return would most likely be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That single detail matters, because this isn't just about whether Rodgers plays again, it's about whether Pittsburgh's gamble last season evolves into a short-term experiment or a legitimate multi-year partnership aimed at one final championship push. Why leaning toward matters. With Rodgers, nothing is ever simple. His career has been defined as much by the drama off the field as the brilliance on it. A lean isn't a commitment. It isn't a contract. It isn't even a promise. But in Rodgers' terms, it's momentum. Berry's report suggests the expectation around the league is that if Rodgers suits up in 2026, it won't be for a new adventure. It won't be for a farewell tour somewhere else. It would be to return to Pittsburgh. That clarity stabilizes the Steelers more than people realize. Last offseason dragged deep into June before Rodgers signed his one-year deal. That kind of delay affects free agency planning, draft strategy, and locker room psychology. General Manager Omar Khan has already indicated he doesn't expect this process to stretch out the same way again. That's significant. It signals organizational confidence. The Minnesota factor isn't dead. The intrigue doesn't stop with Pittsburgh. Berry also noted that last year Kevin O'Connell wanted Rodgers in Minnesota, and Rodgers was interested. However, the broader Minnesota Vikings organization opted instead to move forward with J.J. McCarthy. Now, with front office changes in Minnesota, Rodgers is reportedly back on the Vikings' radar. That doesn't mean a deal is imminent. It means leverage exists. If Rodgers truly wants to return to Pittsburgh, the Vikings' chatter may simply be due diligence or strategic positioning. But if Pittsburgh hesitates or shifts direction, Minnesota could re-enter the picture quickly. For Rodgers, the Vikings present a compelling football case: strong defense, elite offensive weaponry, and a head coach known for maximizing quarterback efficiency, but they also present organizational risk. Last year, they weren't fully aligned on bringing him in. Rodgers has always valued being wanted, not just tolerated. The coaching dynamic has changed. One major variable: Mike Tomlin is no longer on the sidelines. Tomlin stepping away after Pittsburgh's wild card loss to Houston altered the emotional landscape. Rodgers openly cited Tomlin as a key reason for signing in Pittsburgh last year. However, the Steelers' new head coach is someone Rodgers knows extremely well: Mike McCarthy. Their 13-year partnership with the Green Bay Packers produced a Super Bowl title to cap the 2010 season. That history cuts both ways. There's comfort and trust, but also familiarity with each other's tendencies and limitations. If Rodgers returns, this becomes a reunion built on unfinished business. McCarthy knows how to structure an offense around Rodgers' strengths. Rodgers knows how to operate within McCarthy's framework. The question is whether that formula, which peaked over a decade ago, can still dominate in a league that has evolved schematically and athletically. Evaluating Rodgers' 2025 season, strip away the headlines, and Rodgers' production last season with Pittsburgh was solid. 3,322 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 65.7% completion rate, 16 games played. For a 41-year-old quarterback, those numbers are more than respectable. They're competitive. But numbers don't tell the full story. Rodgers' average time to throw was among the lowest in the league. His reluctance to hold the ball and absorb hits limited the vertical passing game at times. Pittsburgh's offense often felt efficient but not explosive. That hesitation is understandable. After tearing his Achilles with the New York Jets in 2023, just 4 snaps into the season, self-preservation became part of the equation. Age changes how quarterbacks process risk. Rodgers can still read defenses at an elite level. He can still manipulate safeties with his eyes. He can still throw with precision. But the willingness to stand tall in collapsing pockets isn't what it was during his MVP seasons. If he returns, the Steelers must adapt accordingly. Stronger pass protection, quicker developing route concepts, and selective deep shots rather than constant vertical pressure. The long, strange road. Here, it's easy to forget how chaotic Rodgers' last 3 years have been. In early 2023, he emerged from a self-imposed darkness retreat, admitting he was 90% retired. Weeks later, after learning the Packers were ready to move on, he reversed course and was traded. His Jets tenure never stabilized. The Achilles tear, the offseason headlines, the trip to Egypt during mandatory minicamp, even the brief speculation about joining Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on a presidential ticket. It was surreal. And yet, in Pittsburgh last season, there was relative normalcy. No dramatic absences, no midseason controversy, just football. That stability may be the strongest argument for returning. Hesh, what does Rodgers have left to prove? Individually, nothing. 4 MVP awards, a Super Bowl ring, statistical milestones that guarantee a gold jacket in Canton. But legacy isn't always about hardware. Sometimes it's about narrative. A second Super Bowl, especially after bouncing from Green Bay to New York to Pittsburgh, would redefine the final chapter of his career. It would shift the conversation from brilliant but turbulent to resilient and transcendent. Without that second title, his career remains extraordinary, but incomplete in the eyes of some critics. The Steelers, meanwhile, finished 10-7. They're not rebuilding, they're not dominant. They're in that dangerous middle ground where the right quarterback play can tilt everything. Rodgers knows that. The organizational patience. Omar Khan's comments at the Combine were measured but telling. No deadline, no panic, honest communication. That tone suggests the Steelers believe they're in a strong position. If Rodgers returns, they compete immediately. If he retires, they pivot earlier than last year and pursue alternatives through the draft or trade market. The key difference from 2025 is timing. Pittsburgh doesn't want another drawn-out saga stretching into June. They want clarity before off-season programs fully ramp up, and Rodgers, if he truly is leaning toward playing again, likely understands that. The most likely outcome. All signs point toward a return to Pittsburgh. The Vikings remain a possibility, but organizational alignment matters. The Steelers offer continuity, familiarity with the system, and a roster already built around him. Rodgers doesn't need a new experiment. He needs the cleanest path to January football. If he announces his return in the coming weeks, it won't shock anyone inside league circles. It will simply confirm what many already suspect. He's not ready to walk away. Because for all the philosophical detours, media speculation, and unconventional decisions, Rodgers still loves the game. And if he does come back for year 22, it won't be for nostalgia. It will be because he believes, however quietly, that one more run is still possible. And if that run happens in Pittsburgh, the NFL offseason will once again belong to Aaron Rodgers.